and I want to talk to you today about a surgery called Fimbrioplasty. And I couldn't find a lot of information. My dogs. I have a little, come here, Jack. Let me introduce you. This is my dog, Jack. He is a 7-year-old Shih Tzu poodle, and he constantly wants me to fetch with him. So I actually locked him out of the room for my last couple of videos, and I want to talk to you today about Fimbrioplasty surgery and my experience with it, because I did have it done at the end of December 2016, so not that long ago. Why did I have Fimbrioplasty? Well, my fertility specialist told me that I had a blockage on my right side, so between my right fallopian tube and my ovary. And I knew this because I had the HSG x-ray, which I talked about in my last video. So if you haven't watched that yet, and you want to know more about the HSG x-ray and how they diagnosed me, hop on over to that video. So I could have gone on with the IUI procedure without doing the Fimbrioplasty. However, my doctor told me I had a much greater risk of having an ectopic pregnancy without the Fimbrioplasty to correct my fallopian tube beforehand. And although I have never been pregnant before and never had an ectopic pregnancy, I do know from other people that can be very dangerous. It can be life-threatening. You can actually lose that fallopian tube if it bursts. So it's definitely not something that I wanted to risk. Although you still have a risk of an ectopic pregnancy even after the Fimbrioplasty, it's very greatly reduced. So I found out in early November of 2016 that I would need this surgery, but I couldn't do the surgery until after Christmas because of my work schedule commitments. I knew that I would not be able to lift heavy things after my surgery, and that's a lot of what I do. But I tried to get in as close to Christmas as I could. I actually had my surgery on December 29th. So to prepare for my Fimbrioplasty surgery, I actually went on birth control prior because, one, we wanted to reduce my symptoms of PCOS, and also my doctor wanted to make sure that I was not on my period at the time of surgery, otherwise we would have to reschedule. And since I was trying to get the surgery done before the end of the year due to insurance coverage, I also wanted to make sure that I was not on my period at the time of surgery. So I went in for my pre-op visit the day before. My surgery, and the doctor told me that I had to do a bowel prep, which I was terrified of because I'd never done it. Yeah, and it just sounded horrible. So let's see, I had my appointment at like, it was either noon or 2 p.m. or something. And my mom came with me so I would remember everything that the doctor told me. And then we went to Target afterward, and I had to get milk of magnesia, which is this clear liquid that comes in a glass bottle, or at least mine did. And it actually didn't taste bad at all. It had like a citrusy flavor, and I just put it in a glass of Sprite with some ice, and it actually wasn't too bad. I did half and half, so I drank like whole Sprite with some of it, and then I drank another one. And nothing happened for the first several hours. If this is TMI for you, then don't watch the rest of the video. But this is about surgery prep, so it is what it is. So I drank the drink. I think I started around sometime between 2 and 4 p.m. and nothing happened. And then I was like scared of something to happen, but then I was worried when it didn't. I want to say it was like right before bedtime that the milk of magnesia actually started to work. And it wasn't painful. That's what I was worried about. I was worried about it being painful and me being up all night prior to surgery. So it wasn't painful. It was just like, I just went to the bathroom a lot until I didn't have to go anymore. I was able to get some sleep. I did get up a couple of times during the night. I think the latest was like 2 a.m. And again, it was not painful. So, and I also felt the urge to go, so I didn't get caught off guard. It's not like I was having accidents or anything. So that probably won't happen to you. Don't worry about that. The morning of the surgery, I tried to sleep as long as I could because the surgery wasn't scheduled until 11 a.m. And I'm the type of person that needs to eat as soon as I get up. I'm just super hungry. So I kept going to the bathroom in the morning. I was getting kind of worried that, well, what if I'm not done going by the time I get to the hospital? So we go to the hospital, my mom and my husband come, and I was actually pretty calm. And everybody there was super nice. I went in, they asked me questions. They got my IV started, which was another thing that I was kind of nervous about because my mom kept saying, make sure they give you lidocaine, make sure they give you lidocaine. And I knew that that was going to be an additional prick poking, so I wasn't too excited about that. But actually the nurse that gave me my IV went ahead and said, I'm going to give you some lidocaine first. And I thought, oh great, I didn't have to ask for it. So the nurse was actually really great. She gave me the lidocaine shot in my hand. I guess it was a shot. She put it right in where she was going to put the IV, and I barely felt that at all. So by the time she actually put the IV in, I didn't feel anything. It was great. And then I sat there for a little while in my gown, in my cute socks. And then the anesthesiologist came in, asked me some questions, and we're almost good to go. I did have to go to the bathroom one more time before surgery, which was a little bit embarrassing because I was, at that point, I had the IV hooked up and I was carrying around a bag of fluid with me in the bathroom, and I had a nurse standing outside the bathroom door waiting for me, so it's a little bit awkward, but made it up there, get into the operating room, lay on the table, fully awake, and they just kind of tell me about, you know, where I need to move and all kinds of things. Everybody was really nice, and then they put me to sleep. At the end of the surgery, while I was still under, the doctor actually basically did like another HSG x-ray and put more dye through and saw that everything was flowing perfectly. So he knew at the end of the surgery that he had fixed. Waking up from my surgery was kind of a blur. Apparently I sat there for a long time to come out of the anesthesia, but I don't really remember it. So they gave me some time to wake up. I do remember feeling really uncomfortable, and I was laying on my back, and then I asked if I could lay on my side, and they said that that was fine. When we got home from the surgery, I wasn't in too much pain, actually. I did have a huge distended belly because when you do an abdominal surgery, they put this gas in you so that they can blow up your stomach or your abdominal area and be able to see what they're doing. And that gas can take quite a while to get out of your system. I'm talking like days. So it looked like I was already pregnant when I came out of surgery. And it was uncomfortable just because, you know, it's a gassy feeling and you feel like you need to get rid of the gas, but you kind of can't. And you can even get a really bad shoulder pain from it. I forget how that works, but the gas can actually give you like a shoulder blade. That didn't happen to me until a couple days afterward, and it wasn't too bad. I do remember being sore the day after the surgery, but not that bad. I took a few pain pills, but I didn't want to take a lot because I didn't want to become constipated, and that's what can happen when you're taking heavy narcotics. So I only took as much as I needed to. And again, my abdomen was still bloated and I just was not feeling pretty. On day 3, I actually went back to work, and I probably shouldn't have, but I had already committed months prior to helping a friend photograph a very big wedding on New Year's Eve. So instead of spending New Year's Eve at home on the couch, I was working. And let me tell you, I made the mistake of putting on a compression garment to go to this because, like I said, my abdomen was still really big. And I just didn't want people asking me if I was pregnant when I wasn't. So out of vanity, I put on some Spanx and a dress, and I was really uncomfortable the whole day. I actually wasn't really tired. I think it was just the adrenaline going throughout the workday, but I was just really sore. I really shouldn't have been lifting anything or bending over, but the girl I was working for was pregnant, so she couldn't help me, and I wasn't being very much help to her. But like I said, I committed to helping her, so I showed up and I did it, and it was a really long day, and it took me probably a good 1 to 2 days to recover from that. So I would not recommend going back to work if you do any sort of lifting or anything really physical. Although my doctor said, you know, you can go back to work within a couple of days. Personally, I think it might have been a little too soon. So about the scars for the Fimbrioplasty surgery. I have basically a triangle of scars. I have one next to each pelvic bone. It's about maybe that long. And they're kind of like a purplish color right now. For those, they just put glue on them, and then the glue dissolved over maybe a week or so. And they didn't really hurt at all. And right underneath my belly button, I have maybe a 1.5 inch scar, so it's like that big, where I had, what do you call it? I had stitches that had to be removed, and that was the first time I'd ever had stitches before. So I wasn't prepared with how it would feel to have them taken out. But the scar is actually like, it's kind of a purplish color right now, and I know that it will fade over time. I mean, it's kind of big, but I actually know somebody who had a similar surgery, and like a year later, you can barely even see the scar below her belly button, so I'm not really worried. I will say though, that when I had when I went in to have the stitches removed, I was about a week later, and I was so glad to have them out because they were starting to itch at that point. And it was a little uncomfortable with the doctor he had to tug on them and then cut them out and then pull them. I did start to bleed a little bit. By the end, he was kind of dabbing where I was bleeding, and I pushed his hand away. I was like, it's okay, don't touch me anymore. But it wasn't too long before I was able to go back to all my normal stuff. And then over the next week, the gas, started to go away, and my abdomen was back to normal. What I also want to mention is, why did I have to have this done? What happened to make me need this surgery? So we still don't know. It can be caused from pelvic infections or prior surgeries or anything that could have damaged that area to make basically scar tissue on my ovary. What the Fimbrioplasty did was removed scar tissue from the little fimbria that are at the end of my fallopian tube. So for a visual, let's pretend that this is my ovary and this is my fallopian tube, and these are the little finger-like, what's called fimbria at the end of the fallopian tube. And when your ovary produces an egg, it releases it, and then the fimbria catch it, and it goes down your fallopian tube. Well, I had some scar tissue on those fimbria, so from my understanding, they were kind of almost like closed up. So when I would release an egg, there was nothing there to catch it. So either an egg was going to get caught in there, or it just wasn't going to get picked up at all. And what the doctor did was he went in and removed the scar tissue, and he actually took pictures for me so that everything was back to normal. I hope you enjoyed my non-medical explanation of my Fimbrioplasty surgery. And again, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm just telling you about my experience with the surgery. And I really hope that it helps ease any of your fears or answer some of your questions that you might have. If you have any more questions, please feel free to write them in the comments section below and I'll get back to you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel.